Good morning, good life. You're listening to Detailed Therapy, episode 80 with mom and entrepreneur Meg Kerns.
She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies
Give me every little detail
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detailed Therapy with Amy Landino.
I think that one of the biggest things for me is I didn't know what I was capable of until I was against a wall, when I had to make things happen in order to get to the next spot. And so when you get there, you really find out what your priorities are. And when you do that, you're able to give 100% to the things that are important, and you'll do it. And it's doable. You just have to kind of adapt it for yourself.
You just heard a little bit of my conversation with our guest for today, Meg Kerns. In this episode, we'll be discussing the details about productivity tips for parents. If any of you out there have some little ones running around, then you might find this particular episode to be very useful. How you can make your smart devices encourage your kids to listen to the rules. You're going to love this one. So good. Such a good tip. And how to balance it all when not only are those little ones around, but you are running a business from home as well. This is a very good episode. So happy to have my friend Meg on today. Before we get into it, for those of you who are new to the show, my name is Amy Landino and I will be your host. You can think of me as your number one productive lifestyle and success coach. I am the founder of Gatlu House, a resource dedicated to helping you go after the life you want. In addition to this podcast, we produce the award-winning YouTube series Amy TV, of which I am also the host. I've authored 2 best-selling books, including Good Morning, Good Life, which is now available on Amazon to help you out with your morning routine. Links to everything I talked about will be in the show notes at our new home base, detailtherapy.online. Go to detailtherapy.online, where we'll be keeping all of the show notes for all of the episodes you've ever heard of Detailed Therapy, so you can easily find what you're looking for. And that reminds me, I want to make sure that I give a big shout out to the sponsor of this episode of Detailed Therapy, and that is our friends at .online domain names. The reason we are so pumped about the show notes situation is that, believe it or not, Detailed Therapy was not the easiest term to hang on to and use as a username or as a URL. So we were trying to figure out a way to make it a lot easier for you to be able to find show notes and be able to remember where you can find information. I want to make sure that all the details that we talk about are easily found. And that is why we teamed up with our friends at .online in order to be able to get the best domain name from a branding standpoint. So if you're somebody who's starting a project or you have a business and you struggle a little bit in trying to figure out where should our home base be, you've got to check out the guys at .online. They're so amazing, so fun to work with, really, really awesome inventory to choose from, whether you're a .online person like myself, or if maybe you have a place online for people to shop, you might shop one of their URLs that end in .store. We also decided to reserve gatlu.store to make it easy for people to shop my books or any products that I recommend. You can find out about all kinds of domain extensions at .online, and you can also take advantage of an amazing discount while you're at it. When you use the code Amy at get.online, you can get 90% off your 1-year domains. That is exactly what I said. You heard me right. 90% off your 1-year domain. So even if you just have an idea right now, trust me, I love to buy domains. As soon as I have an idea, I don't want anyone to get it. I will reserve that puppy. You can do it now at a much discounted rate. So go to get.online and use the code Amy so that you can get 90% off. Thank you so much to our friends at Get Online for this amazing partnership, making it so much more fun and easy for Detailed Therapy host and listeners, and I hope you will check out all the great stuff that they've got going on over there as well. I cannot tell you how pumped I am about this. I haven't had an interview in a while. There were a bunch that we batched, and we've had all those come out. I've done a couple solo episodes lately, and I feel like it's so fun that now I'm popping back on the chatty train with somebody who I love to chat with. I want to introduce you to today's guest, Meg Kerns. Meg is the owner and chief media director at Muckup Media, a digital strategy company specializing in social and brand marketing for small to mid-sized businesses. Alongside her passions for speaking and creating, Meg also writes for her blog, The Mother of Chaos, which helps parents know that they are not alone in this crazy ride called parenting and how to better balance their lives with kids. Let's get into it with my dear, dear friend, Meg Kerns. Meg Kerns, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. This is the highlight of my day.
Oh, thank you. Same here. I'm so excited. I'm sidebarring already right away because I'm like, this is my Meg. This is the Meg that has been in my life. And there's so much history. We'll chat about it, I'm sure. But so that everybody knows, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do so that I can give both myself and the family that my husband and I have created a life that we can look back on full of memory. And I know that sounds super cheesy, but it's the literal truth because I didn't know. I mean, as we'll get into it, I've got kids, I've got a business, I've got all these things happening. And I found I was spending a lot of time outside of the things I loved in order to make time for the things I loved. So I just stopped doing that and said, forget it, I'll do the stuff I love anyways.
Love that. Good take on that. It's so funny how hard we work to do the things we love to do, and then we forget to actually do the things we love to do. We overcomplicate it. Can you, Meg, can you give everybody kind of an idea of our history, but also like really starting with your journey? How did you end up where you are right now? What are you actually doing in your day-to-day? Because you get to be home with your kids all the time, which is, I'm sure, a blessing and a curse. I'm not a parent, so I can't really say. But what do you do? How did we get here? And how have you and I become acquainted?
Yes, I will take a nice deep breath there because I I was formerly a teacher. I taught kindergarten and first grade. I got my, degree in education. I got a master's in technology for schools. Like I was in on the teaching thing. And then I had my second child and my husband because I wanted to, I was thinking of all these different things that I really liked and teaching's great. I love teachers, of course, but it just had changed so much over the landscape of what they were expecting us as teachers to do and expecting small children to do, and it just didn't sit right. And so my husband was like, "Oh, hey, I watched this YouTuber, and she kind of reminds me of like you. I think you'd like her." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, like our husbands are great, and I love my husband dearly, but sometimes he's like, "Hey, watch this NASCAR thing," and I'm like, "I'm not into it." So I was like, "Sure." Like, sure, I'll take a look at it. And it turned out that it was you. It was your channel. It was like 2017 or 2016 that I first started watching you, actually. And it was right after I had my daughter and had kind of made the jump from, hey, I'm not going to teach anymore. I'm not going to go back to teaching after my maternity leave. And instead, I'm going to freelance with an opportunity I had in social media and content creation.
Wow.
So that's when you were talking a lot about, building, going after the life that you want, that you always talk about, and, kind of building that out into what that life looks like. And so as I moved through that space, I realized that as much as I love teaching and I wasn't half bad at it, it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life.
Shout out to Phil Kerns. Phil, thank you for bringing us together. The Meg and I, the three-lettered ladies. I really appreciate him because it's kind of funny. It actually is true that I think the majority of the audience for Amy TV today is female, but there was a time where I was talking about social media marketing and business, and it was actually a pretty big 50-50 split. So we'll have to give Phil credit for being a fan of mine first, but I love that was like a huge piece of this. So what was it about my channel that kind of, where did we go from there? You've been growing this business.
Yes.
Maybe there was some advice on the business side there, but certainly a big thing for you is running a business, working from home, and now you have 3 kids. So there's been a lot in that journey, I assume, since you
There
got
has.
started there.
But I have to say that the one huge shift for me, I have to again attribute to Phil because you were doing a creative live class
Mm.
out in San Francisco. And he said, I had an opportunity to go, and he said, buy a ticket, get on a plane, go. I went for less than 24 hours. I was there. I was there to like sleep in the hotel room, get up and do the 8-hour class, get on a plane, get home. Like that was it. And that
All the
was,
way from Virginia.
yes.
Oh
Yes.
my
And he was
God.
like, I've got the kids, like, and there was only two of them at that point. I say only two as if that's easy. And so, there were two of them, and he was like, I've got the kids, just go. And so I did, and I came back and I was like, no, like, this is where, like, I need to put everything into this right now. I need to stop doing the freelance. I need to go full on into what I'm doing.
Mm.
And we went from there, and that was the biggest turning point. And just, you and I kept in contact. I had opportunity to work with you, and
Mhm.
it just continued to grow from there and kind of evolve. So people always talk about, their journey and their change. And I just feel like I've done so much changing in the last, 4 years, that it's completely changed the person that I am in the best way.
Yeah, this is what I love and why I wanted to have you on is I think people need to hear that because we get so caught up in I need to make a decision for myself. I need to go after the life I want. It has to be the right thing, but if it's not the right thing, I don't know, I can't do it. I mean, you started the business, you were freelancing and then there was a point where you decided to go all in. You also worked for me and my husband Vincenzo full time, balancing some of that. I mean, you truly emulate I'm going to do something if I believe in it, just even if I'm just trying it out and it's going to help shape what my future looks like. And so that's, I think, what people need to understand right off the bat is when you say you've got 5 solid freaking tips for parent productivity, they're pretty darn solid because you have tried a lot of different things and you are doing whatever it takes to support your family and be able to actually enjoy the work that you're doing that fits with your life.
We have literally put these tips through the ringer and back.
Okay, well
I,
then let's not waste any time. We have to get into them then.
yes.
Okay, because my goodness, you got 3 little ones now. How old is the oldest and how old is the youngest?
Yes. So my oldest is 6, and then the youngest is 21 months. And then I've got a
Oh my
4-year
gosh.
old smack dab in the middle. And they all are very sarcastic already. So we are in it. We're in
Well,
for the
they
long
they
haul.
are Kerns children. They are Kerns children.
They
So
are.
they're going to stay true to brand here. Okay, let's get into your 5 parent productivity tips. This is so much fun for me because I don't have any kids, but I do have an old dog. So let's see if I can find any common denominators. Tip number 1. Have a morning routine just for you. What does this look like for you? How has this been able to be possible for you when you are running a house and running a business all in the same place, all at the same time?
Yes. So I actually took this back. The reason I have a morning routine, I'm again going to attribute it to you because you really talked a lot about, hey, like have a routine, have a space, like do things that are the same every day to get yourself ready. And I was really struggling, especially with having little ones at that time, with finding a balance like internally of I don't want to wake up stressed. And that was the
Mm,
biggest thing that was hard for me because you wake up and like if you get up with your kids, as much as it's nice to sleep, but when you wake up at the same time your kids are awake, you're on call like immediately.
right.
And that is difficult. So, really having that time in the morning where I can just look at my schedule, like look at my planner and like write down 3 things that I found that I was grateful for, the day before or that morning, and, spend some time quiet, either reading or just, I practice learning a language every morning. So it's like one of those things that it's just my time where everyone in the family knows they're not to bother me. So even if the kids are awake, they're like, oh, mom's in her special chair. Like, don't bug her.
I love
And
that you said that. That is that I cannot let you pass that by because that I think is the hardest part for people. They think and it could be kids, it could be a significant other, it could be other family members, it could be roommates, it doesn't matter who it is. You may think that in order to have a successful morning routine, that you need to just kind of figure out a way to make it happen without bugging everybody. I actually, and I hope that someday I'm blessed enough to be able to figure this out for myself. I actually think it would be really special to be able to say, hey, kids, let me show you what a great way to start the day looks like. I need you to be respectful of that for me because I'm going to show you how to do it for you, and I will be respectful of that for you too. If you grew up thinking that you need to make space and time and mindfulness for yourself, what better lesson could you learn from your parent?
Exactly. It's one of the things when you put it in practice, it's so much easier for them to see, especially from a young age. We don't give kids often enough credit to understand things that we do and things that they see, when in
Mm.
reality, they feel and they understand them more than they can verbalize. So even the baby knows that, if he wakes up, he's still in a crib. But if he wakes up and it's still dark outside, he might, whine a little, but he's going to put himself back to bed. He doesn't need my, interference to have that happen.
I just love that. I mean, like, I have hope that when you talk about parenting and you read up on all of this, and I know that it's probably been a long time since you read a parenting book because you've just been doing it for so long, but it's like you learn about all the ways that you're supposed to teach your child, and it's like, you know what, you can teach them your beliefs too, and I love that this is one of those. And thanks for plugging the book, Meg. You're so nice.
But it's a really, it's really helpful, especially if you don't know where to start. I know
Mm.
I've actually heard from a lot of people who have read your book and are parents, and they've found me on social or whatever, and they've said, "Oh, are you still doing this?" Or, "Hey, what's your wake up song?" Or, they're asking those questions like, "How do I do this for myself?" And I think a lot of what you teach, especially in the productivity space, can be adapted for a variety of different lifestyles. Whether you have kids, don't have kids, you're taking care of, an elderly parent, there are still things that you can adapt to make them work for you and create a space and a schedule and a routine that really starts you off on a great way for your day.
Love that. Good tip. Awesome. And yes, shout out to Meg because Meg's also featured in the book. So if you want to read up more about her morning routine, definitely check her out. Okay, let's move on to your second parent productivity tip, and that's to build a schedule for the family and for your kids. What does that look like? Because I love a good calendar block situation and scheduling life. What does that look like for your family?
So our family does a lot of scheduling visually. So of course the kids don't have like a Google Calendar yet. That's coming, but they're
Hmm.
just not. They can't read and write too well yet, and I don't need them in my Google Calendar.
Yeah, lay off. That's
Yeah,
mommy's.
I'm like that. Don't touch that. The colors are special. I know pink's your favorite, sort of thing. But we have the schedule that we have for the day. Like they get up. I'm one of those people who likes to do things in advance to prepare for the future. So the night before, I put out the kids' breakfast. I make it and I put it out on the table so that when they come down to start their day, they immediately have breakfast and it's ready. So they know that while I'm doing whatever quiet time I'm doing, they can come down and have breakfast. They know where their devices are. They know that, they have breakfast and they start their chores. Like there are things that they do every single day that don't change, whether it's a weekend or a weekday or whatever. They follow those. And then we move into the next part of our day when they know, oh, mom will be working from, this time until snack time. And then they have snack. And then they go on for, playtime and then lunch. So we have chunks of our day that remain consistent, especially now that we're all home all the time. But they
Yes.
remain consistent so that they know what's happening next. It cuts down on the fits. It cuts down on the arguing. It cuts down on the, hey, mom, when such and such. Those things really can kind of junk up what's happening during the day. So having that routine, because kids thrive under boundaries of routine, and some people tend to think, oh, if you're too structured, your kid's not going to be able to deal with flexibility. I'm like, that's not the case at all. They know what to expect here. What happens during playtime is a complete, you know, experiment. It's a complete surprise, but they know that from, this time to this time, they're going to be playing. And it might be
Mhm.
outside, it might be downstairs, but at least they know that they will have a time to play, have a time to make decisions, have a time to be quiet. So all of those things happen consistently in order to kind of allow us to structure the day in a way that works for everybody. Because I'm doing this at home by myself because my husband works outside of the home.
Mm.
So I have to have
And
something in
that's
place.
you've got to have some kind of structure just for your own sanity. And it sounds to me like you're also just inherently teaching them habits. Like we have a habit of quiet time, we have a habit of exercise time, we have a habit of learning time, and a habit of morning time, and whatever that is. That's when a habit actually becomes a habit, is when it is habitual. And so just scheduling so that you don't feel like you're constantly starting from scratch every single day, not just for yourself, for everyone else in the house. That's a really, really good tip.
And it's
With
hard sometimes because you'll have people, I'll have people, my friends especially, who will come to me and they're like, "How do you get everything done during the day? Like, how are you doing all of
mm,
these things?" Because I like to do a lot of things, or it
yeah.
seems like outwardly I'm doing a lot of things. When in reality, we've structured our day around the fact that I know certain things need to be done. So I can do them consistently because I know that there's a space for them. There's
Right.
no excuse.
Love that. Okay, your third tip says use your smart devices. How is this contributing to parent productivity?
This is kind of goes along the lines of the family schedule a little bit. I'm not going to say her name, but we use a specific smart speaker in our home.
I will also not say her
Yes,
name.
because whenever I say her name, she talks back to me. But she, we actually have set her, using our app or whatever it is that comes with her, to give us reminders during the day. So at 10 o'clock every morning, she says, "This is a reminder. It's snack time." She tells us when it's quiet time. She tells us when it's time to clean up. She tells us when it's time for bed. Because my children will not fight a device. My children will
Mm.
argue with me, their mother, because I have emotion and can fight back.
Ooh. That is a good tip. Okay, in case you guys don't know, we're talking about Alexa, but
And you
she
can
doesn't
do
hear
it with
me.
the Google one, you can do it with
Yeah.
Siri, you can do it with a lot of them.
Yes. Siri is the worst. Okay, but that is such a good tip because you're right. Like if somebody's going to be of a higher hierarchy, sometimes it might be dad, sometimes it might be a teacher, sometimes it might be a device. Let that person or device reign as king of the house if they must. If they can help you, assign them that project of, would you please, I'm not even kidding, Meg. I did buy a t-shirt for my sister that said, "Alexa, feed my kids," because it
Right?
kind of speaks to this. Oh, dang it. I turned her on. But you see, like, it's really funny because we look at these guys, they're like, please help give direction. And you can use them to give direction for your kids.
Yeah, and and there are certain things you can set where if it's cleanup time and she'll say, "Hey, it's time to clean up," and then she
Mm.
plays a cleanup song. Like, what is better than that? Then
That
I
there
don't even
is
have to tell
nothing
her.
better than that.
And the
I
best
love
part is,
that.
even the baby who does not speak because he is young and does not have to, he immediately hears that. I will say he does say her name though. That's the like he'll say her name
Yeah.
before he says mom. But but he hears, this is a reminder, it's napping quiet time, and he will pick up his blanket and go to the stairs and head upstairs. Like he'll wait. He's often the first one at the stairs because he knows the
Wow.
routine and he knows what she's saying. And so my older two who might not want to stop playing, but they know like what are they going to do? Tell her no? She's not going to fight back with them. She's just going
Right.
to say it again. And the other part of that is that with these devices, you can actually set announcements. So if I am, let's say I'm in the middle of a phone call downstairs and I hear thunderous elephant feet upstairs, I can actually send an announcement to the device in that room that says, "Hey, stop running." And it will
Oh
announce
my
for me, and I
gosh.
do not have to raise my voice.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. You've like found a way to scale yelling at your children. This
It
is
is
making me
literally
so
my
happy.
favorite thing. When the power or the internet go out, I'm like, "I'm sorry, we can't do this." And it's not because
Okay.
I need the lights, it's because I need my device.
Okay, so just so everyone knows, because this is selfish for me now too. These options are in the app for
Yes.
the device. Okay,
Yes.
so you can basically like set up reminders, set up announcements, and you can have a
Mhm.
specific announcement go to a specific device in a room.
Yes. Or you can announce it to all the
Interesting.
devices in all of the rooms. So if it's dinner and they're in different rooms, I'm actually considering getting the little kid dots for their rooms so they can
Yeah.
listen to music. And so I can also, because you can drop in on them too. So if they're playing
Yeah.
in my daughter's room and something like I hear something but can't exactly make out what it is, I could drop in and listen.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying. This is the best. This is the best. Sometimes I drop in on my husband when he's like having a really long conversation with the Amazon delivery guy at the door.
Oh,
But
yeah.
other than that, I don't think I have used this technology to my advantage. I think it's great just to announce, like, hey, it's dinner time to the whole house. Like, that's
Hmm.
epic. I love
Then
that
I'm not
idea.
running around yelling up and down stairs. I don't have
Oh my
the, I mean, I have the lung capacity, but I don't need to use it for that.
Right, but no, you do not. Okay, that is a solid tip, you guys. Use your smart devices because they are so smart. So especially, and I gave this tip in the Gatlu Society, this whole fear of asking for help. Ask for help when you don't really need it. You don't need to tell everyone it's time for dinner. Have your smart device do it.
And they'll be
Okay,
more, they think that's more fun anyways. So
I
two
know.
birds.
They're like, "Oh, I guess she's right. We should
Oh,
go."
on that note, actually, my
Yeah.
kids, we've actually also instituted like a manners lesson with the device where
Ooh.
after she gives them some sort of, announcement or alert, or, if my son has to get off the computer for something, it'll say, it's time to get off the computer. And he'll say her name and then he'll say, thank you. And she responds and she says, you're welcome, or you betcha, or have a great day. Like she will actually
Mhm.
respond to him. So we're practicing those manners because it's not always a person that you have to be kind to. You have to just be kind in general. So this kind of reinforces that, oh, somebody gave me a direction. I need to verbally, say thank you or acknowledge them.
I love that. That's a good that's such a bonus. I
That's
love
a
that.
3A. That's a 3A tip. That's part
3A.
part A of the third tip.
Give your device a compliment, see what happens. Okay. Tip number 4, institute a kid quiet time. What does this look like? Because it sounds so lovely, I'm sure, to many parents. But if someone is having a harder time figuring this out with their children, if they are not into the smart device movement of getting a little bit of backup, what does it actually look like to say, hey, kiddo, this is your daily quiet time, and here's how we institute that?
Yes, this was something we started as soon as my oldest stopped taking naps. So when he was 4, we said, okay, your sister still has to take a nap. And while she naps, you will have quiet time. And
Mm,
so as they age out of their naps, they then transition into quiet time. So we put special toys because their rooms are already childproof. And, we have monitors and things like that that we had from when they were babies that we could still have in there. So we have specific toys, specific activities, no glue, no scissors, no crayons, like none of that in
mhm.
their rooms that they only play with in that space. So it is a special time where they get to go up to their room. And even now, my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old are not in the same room because this is their independent playtime. And so they have this time because we are not, as parents, it's not our job to sing and dance and entertain our kids for their entire lives. If
Mm.
we do that, in my opinion, they are not going to be able to entertain themselves. So this developmentally gives them an opportunity to develop that internal monologue and develop the ability to entertain themselves and come up with stories and kind of nurture that creative side. So my son plays Legos, my daughter, plays with her princesses and she builds things and, but they have that time that is away from me so that I can get things done that need to be done inside the house, but that they also have away from one another in order to kind of recharge. And as a
And
person who loves people but who gets drained very easily, I understand the need for that on a
mm.
basic level.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the key thing here is that quiet time. Because I think you could get into a rousing debate about how much device time is too much device time. I think that another point here is that it's about helping them to see how to use their imagination and not always how to help them find out that, oh, quiet time means you get to hang out on the iPad or hang out in
Yeah,
front of the TV. That could be the family decision that you guys make, but that doesn't always have to be the case. It's not the only way to get them to be quiet is to get them to do this. It's no, I'm teaching you something while you're in this space too. So it may be a variety of things that they
exactly.
can do in that time. Love
And
that.
I'm going to rat on myself. There are times where if they want to be on their devices before quiet time, because they don't always have to be on a device, but there are
Mm.
times where they're like, "Oh, I started my device time early today and my device is going to die." And so I say, "Okay, well, would you rather stop and save it for a little while so you can play with it for a little bit during quiet time, or would you like to play with it now and then not have it?" So that gives them the opportunity to choose. And there are times that I will just let the iPad die and it stays down here with me to charge. And that
There you
happens
go.
multiple times per week because they do need to do that, play independently where they could, my daughter sings to herself all the time. I'm always hearing her
Mm,
singing, but I'm not sure that she would do that if she didn't have the opportunity. So
right.
we balance the device time. But if they're up there and say they do have a device that day and it does lose battery, they don't get to come down and charge it and get a new one that's done for that day.
I like that rule. That's a
I,
good rule.
we toe a hard line here.
I see that. All right. Your fifth parent productivity tip: be flexible and expect distractions. What does that mean?
This is one that I have learned in a very big way, especially right now. When everything kind of changed and we went from having care in our home for our kids for a little while to not having anyone except for me, I was still trying to keep the same amount of productivity that I was pre change. And so I was
Mm,
finding a lot of frustration and a lot of stress that I wasn't able to complete things in the same amount of time it was taking me without the distraction of children. So it's
ah,
on a basic level, it seems like it would be obvious. You have more distraction, you are less productive. But at the same time, internalizing that and saying, oh, well, my productivity times may be different or outside the realm of normal hours is what it took for me to kind of refocus that. So being flexible to say, oh, from 9 a.m. till 11:30, I'm not going to be available for phone calls or for out of the home meetings because I have this other responsibility. That's that flexibility and allowing that to be okay. But that means that maybe from 7:30 until 9 you're going to be doing some catch up on the computer depending on what part of business you're in, kind of allowing yourself to flex and to know that it doesn't always have to look the same way for everybody.
I'm so glad you said that because I think that is typically the issue is you can't compare apples to oranges. I'm not even like mad about the fact that I do have people in my audience, men and women both, who have children and therefore will watch a YouTube video or listen to one of my podcasts and say, "Okay, lady, but let me know when you have kids and tell me how that's going." No doubt about it. No doubt about it. If there's ever a time where there is a new time restriction challenge in my life, I'm going to have to make some adjustments. And so that's why even writing Good Morning, Good Life was important to me because my morning routine shouldn't look the same as yours if you have a different life than me and if you like different things than me and you have more family members than me or whatever the case. And so being flexible and knowing, especially as you're starting a family, okay, what does it look like for my life to change? I can't predict all of it, but who can predict the unknown? None of us can. You just have to navigate it. You've got to learn about it. It's an education process. And expecting the unexpected or expecting the distractions is a very, very, very important thing. And actually, that's why I talk about calendar blocking because we find ourselves often being derailed all the time. So, what's the backup plan? You, as a parent, I believe, need to be the queen of the backup plan.
I always have a plan B and a plan C.
Yeah.
Always. I will
Yeah.
tell you the amount of calls that I am on, especially right now, because most people who are in full business and those who don't, have kids that are in front of them all day, I have to be on a call at a time that might not work out for everybody else. And so I have a stash of snacks that sit next to my computer that I can quietly open and throw at my children should that be an issue.
Take it. Take it very far.
Yeah, but that's
Vet.
the thing. Like the baby will come over and he will, he knows the snacks are here now. So he'll come over, he'll look at the snack thing, pick one out, and then leave. But
Yeah.
he's not
Yeah.
bothering me.
I know what you're about to do, mom. You might as well just hand it to me.
Just hand
It's
me the
fine.
snack. I know which one I like best. Like
Oh my gosh. Okay, so these are so helpful, Meg. Let's just go over them one more time. The 5 tips for parent productivity, according to Meg Kerns: have a morning routine just for you, build a schedule for your family and kids, use those smart devices to your advantage even more than just finding out you got a new Amazon delivery, institute a kid quiet time, and be flexible and expect distractions. Do you have any final thoughts on this that people can walk away with?
I think that one of the biggest things for me is I didn't know what I was capable of until I was against a wall when I had to make things happen in order to get to the next spot. And so when you get there, you really find out what your priorities are. And when you do that, you're able to give 100% to the things that are important, and you'll do it. And it's doable. You just have to kind of adapt it for yourself.
Love that. Meg, I think you said you had a little something special that you wanted to offer the community. So, do you want to talk about what that is and we can link to it in the notes?
Definitely. So I have a downloadable infographic of sorts, and it's actually sanity saving tech tips. So it's 6 tips above and beyond what we've talked about today that are tech based to kind of help you move forward on this balancing, what you do when your kids are home when you also have a deadline to make. So that's a great place for you to kind of start and see what works for you. It involves, kind of incorporating and encouraging the use of some of these tactics and tips and things that your kids are going to have to use as they get older anyway. So getting them started in a way that you approve of and that can be both helpful for you and for them.
Love that. I'm so excited about that because the tech piece of this was when I was just nerding out the most. We will link to that in the show notes. Make sure that you head over to our new home base for all of our detail therapy show notes, detailtherapy.online, and you can do /Meg Kerns so that you can grab that downloadable and find out any more information of what you heard here today. Meg, what else should people know about you? Where can they follow you on social? How can we catch up with you so we can get more productive in our parenting?
I am spending most of my time on Instagram. Instagram and Twitter are where I hang out most, and that is at Meg O'Kerns, MEGOKERNS. And interestingly enough, I'm also spending a little bit of time on TikTok, which
Love
is
it.
which is the mother of chaos and the number 3. So those are a couple places where you'll find some other things and just kind of the way that we're navigating life as it goes. And all of that kind of goes with the Mother of Chaos site and blog that we have to kind of help parents get through the different stages of having children and what they can expect. And mostly the funny things that happen to us that I talk about.
Love it. Perfect. Hey, in a few minutes, I would love to record a secret show with you if you're up for it.
100%.
Perfect. You guys can find out about the secret show over in Shine Squad. The details are at patreon.com/AmyTV. Before we do that, I have to ask you my final question. Meg, what does it mean to you to go after the life you want?
Oh, I've always been preparing for this question because I think about it so often. Going after the life that I want means being unapologetically clear and excited and motivated to be the best person that I want to be in creating the life that I want to have in the way that I want to have it.
Thanks for being on the show, Meg.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's catch the deets from this conversation. First and foremost, productivity looks different for different stages of life. Just because you get a couple of good tips or want to try a couple of different things in your life, if you've got things that are different than someone else, that is okay. You've got to adjust accordingly. Or if you have kids now and you wish you were as productive as before when you didn't have kids, it's not that you can't be, it's just going to look different. So instead of trying to be upset about the changes, lean into them and say, how do we improve? How do we adjust? How do we pivot? Make your smart devices do something that's more useful than interrupting you when you're talking. I am not going to say the word as I stare at my device right next to me. You know what I'm talking about. It's like they aren't useful when you're asking them to do something and then they just chime in and tell you something random when you didn't even mean to get their attention. If you've got one of these smart devices in a room, in your home, you know what I'm talking about. It may even be your cell phone just suddenly piping up. But guess what? They do really, really amazing things when you put them to work and customize them for your life and your experiences. And I just love the idea of making them a person of authority if for whatever reason you as an authority figure at home ain't working out that well. Just like super fun tidbit there. And finally, plan for interruptions and become the queen of the backup plan. Things do not always go according to plan. It doesn't matter if you've got kids or not. So come to terms with it and make a plan for when things go a little rogue. Make sure you check out Meg's free gift. We will link to that in the show notes. Just head over to detailtherapy.online. And Meg's also joining me for the Secret Podcast over in Shine Squad. So head over to patreon.com/AmyTV so that you can tune in to my daily 5-minute podcast, including that rapid fire with Meg. Yet another shout out to our lovely friends over at .online. Make sure that you check out detailtherapy.online and gatlu.store to see how we are using these custom extension URLs to make our branding on point. And then go and get your own fabulous URL extensions by going to get.store and using my code Amy to get 90% off. It is so much more fun when you can tell everyone the exact destination of where they can follow up with you. So don't make it harder than it needs to be. Check it out. Get.online, code Amy for 90% off. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Remember, subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Cheers.